Chapter 13. The Escape Artist. Thankfully, Jack is on babysitting duty tonight. It's my women's meeting night, and if there was ever a time when I needed a meeting, it's now. I've been so overwhelmed since the move to the new house, and this is exactly what I need. Although I keep reminding myself I should be grateful, that the days of doing it all on my own are in the past, the pressure is crushing me. At 6:45, I grab my purse from the kitchen counter and yell goodbye to the kids. The meeting starts at 7. I'm halfway out the door before realizing my travel mug is still on the counter. It's just a few steps away, and since I only meant to grab it and go, I leave the door ajar. That's all it takes. Rocco, our Rottweiler, bolts through the opening, seizing his chance at freedom. Shit, I say under my breath, so Serena won't hear it upstairs. Now I'll have to get him back inside before I leave. Jack can't help. He has to stay with Serena, and Ronnie is already at his meeting, which is probably a good thing. Rocco getting out has been the source of many arguments between us lately. I put my cup on the counter and walk out onto the front stoop, where I call his name. A few seconds later, he appears in the driveway, panting, his tongue wagging the way his tail would if he had one. "Come on, Rocco," I say in the sweetest, most cheerful tone I can muster. He takes a few steps in my direction before breaking right, running in front of the garage doors, and disappearing into the darkness. I can't tell whether he's gone behind the house or through the side yard and into the neighbor's yard. Even if it were daylight, I'd never be able to catch him. It's hard to believe this is the same dog who brought us all such joy 2 Christmases ago when I surprised Ronnie with the puppy. I knew how happy he'd be since he had to put Harley, the dog he had when we met, down a few years before Serena was born. After opening presents that morning, Alita and Jack met my friend Wendy at the back gate and snuck the pooch into the house. They returned to the living room a few minutes later with a big box. "This is for you," Alita said. When the box moved, Ronnie smiled big. As he lifted one of the flaps, Rocco's furry head popped up. Serena laughed and toddled over to get a closer look. "Oh my God," Ronnie said, his grin so wide his eyes crinkled. "This is Rocco," I said, having already chosen the name. It was what Ronnie had wanted to call Serena if she'd been a boy. Ronnie leaned forward and, gripping the puppy under his front legs, lifted him out of the box and held him high above his head to get a good look. "Hey, Rocco," he said, laughing. Then we took pictures of our happy family, one with Ronnie holding Rocco in one arm and Serena in the other. Thinking of it now, I can't even muster a smile. As much as I want to get in my Jeep and drive away, pretending that I don't know he's out there, running around in the dark, I can't bring myself to do it. I text Ronnie. "Rocco's out. You really need to put up that electric fence." I wish I could tell him the truth, that I'm struggling, but I'm not one to show weakness. My eyes fill with tears for the second time today. The stress of these last few months is too much, but even more than that, I can't figure out why I'm having so much trouble handling it. I was a single parent who managed everything by myself for 12 years before meeting Ronnie. I got the kids to school, made sure they had full bellies and clean clothes, and paid the bills, all while attending college. The only help I had was through welfare and food stamps. Now that I have somebody to share the burden, this should be easy. "Please," I whisper into the dark. But I know that even if Rocco could hear, he wouldn't listen to me. He doesn't respect me. Never has. I learned that lesson at the old house when he was still a puppy. That night, over a year ago, I'd let him out to go to the bathroom. It was 10 o'clock and pitch black outside. He didn't come when I called him back in, so I went out into the yard. Being as dark as the night, I didn't see Rocco coming until right before he jumped on me, knocking me to the ground. Every time I tried to pull myself to my feet, he'd jump on me again, wrestling me back down. At nearly 100 pounds, he weighed almost as much as I did, and he was so much stronger than me. As loud as I screamed for Ronnie, who was sound asleep on the other side of the wall, he didn't hear. A good 20 minutes passed before I was finally able to escape Rocco and get back into the house. Since then, I've had little to say about what he does. And now that he's over 2 years old, I doubt that will ever change. I walk to the side yard and then out back. Standing in the grass, I listen for a splash or a bark, but all I hear are the nighttime critters playing their orchestra. Then, with my hands on my hips, I yell his name into the dark wetlands that butt up against our property. On other nights, I've worried about him getting stuck in the muddy water, but tonight, I'm too exasperated to care. He isn't back here. After a few minutes of calling into the void, I go back inside for my purse and try the driving around approach instead. For the next 10 minutes, I drive in circles, hoping to catch sight of him, but at this point, I'm not even sure I want to find him. Finally, I give up and drive to Kate's house, where the meeting has already started. Although I've managed to steady my breathing, I'm still on edge as I drag a chair from the kitchen into the living room to join the other 6 ladies. "You're late," Kathy says. I know she's joking, but I'm in no mood to play along. I know, Rocco got out again. I drove around the neighborhood looking for him for half an hour, but he was nowhere to be found. He'll come home when he wants. "You just left him outside?" Pam asks with wide eyes. I don't even try to stop the tears. Her confirmation of my inadequacy is more than I can bear. My hands move to cover my face instinctively. I've always hated the ugly way I look when I cry. And the women, all of them seated around the room, are watching me. "Oh no, I'm sorry. Don't cry," Pam says. Now that she feels bad, I feel even more guilty for causing a scene, which makes me cry even more. "I don't know what to do," I say, between short breaths. I feel trapped. I keep telling Ronnie that he has to do something, at least walk the dog. Maybe if he got some exercise, he wouldn't run for the door whenever it's opened. And I can't walk him. He's so strong that he ends up walking me. I've even threatened to find Rocco a new home if Ronnie won't take care of him. He just says he will, but he still hasn't put up the electric fence Bert gave us. It's sitting in a dining room drawer waiting to be installed. I'm rambling. "Maybe Bert can come over and help him put it in," Kathy says. She and her husband are always willing to help us out. "It'll get better," Pam says. "He's still a puppy." They're just trying to help, but nothing they say is making me feel any better. What I won't tell them, or anybody for that matter, is that I wish I'd never gotten Rocco to begin with. Having a dog is so much work. I have a hard enough time taking care of humans. I take a deep breath and wipe my eyes. "Day at a time," I say, attempting a smile. They must recognize my desire to move on because that's what we do. Despite there being no resolution, for the moment at least, I'm not in the middle of the mess. Rocco is inside when I get home. I pat his head when he runs to the door. I'm trying not to be resentful toward him. I know it's not his fault. I find Ronnie upstairs, lying in bed watching television. "Hey," he says, as though the day has been business as usual. "Hey," I say before going into the bathroom and shutting the door behind me. As I wash my face and brush my teeth, I'm trying to figure out how to approach Ronnie with what I'm feeling in a way that won't cause a fight. I get why he thinks the way he does. In his mind, his parents had it figured out. His mother took care of the house and kids while his father paid the bills. Clean division of labor. But we're not his parents. His mother didn't split her time between taking care of the house, kids, and clients who depended on her. And unlike Ronnie's mother, I bring home a paycheck, which means if we're sharing the bills equally, the household responsibilities should be divided the same way. I dry my hands, open the door, and start talking as I walk toward him. I'm really overwhelmed. It's hard to keep up with everything. I sit on my side of the bed. Do we really have to have this conversation right now? Yeah, we hardly see each other during the week. It's almost 10, he says. I have to get up at 5:30. I know, but something has to change. I was in tears trying to get Rocco back in the house earlier. You have to help more. I can't do everything. I take a deep breath and wait for a new threat of tears to pass. Yeah, well, I have my job. I know, Ronnie, I have a job too. No kidding, but you work for yourself, and I don't. We've been having the same argument for over a month. No matter what I say, it always ends up in the same place. Kathy said she'd ask Bert to help install the electric fence. Fine, I'll do it this weekend. The way he says it, like he's doing me a favor, makes me want to scream. Rocco is your dog, and Serena is also your daughter. But I don't. That'll only keep the fight going. Instead, I get under the covers, switch off my side table lamp, and wait for the sweet relief of sleep.